Hey guys, today I'm going to show you 3 different ways to calculate the area of a triangle. I'm going to start off with the simplest formula first and then work my way towards more complex formulas, so if you're in a lower grade, you don't have to watch the whole video. Okay, let's get straight into it. This is the most basic formula to calculate the area of a triangle. I think they teach you this in like grade 5. But here it is. It states that the area of a triangle is equal to a half of its base multiplied by its perpendicular height. You can only use this formula if you have a right angle triangle or you have a triangle that may not be a right angle triangle, but they have given you the perpendicular height. So let's do example 1. Feel free to pause the video and attempt it yourself. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to write out the formula. That does give you 1 mark. So the area of triangle ABC, I have to name the triangle, is equal to a half of its base times its perpendicular height. So that is equal to a half times 4 units times 2 units, because we can clearly see that this is the base and this is the perpendicular height. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times a half is 4. So that's 4 units squared. In this question, it's not specified whether it's centimeters or millimeters. So you will just assume that it's units. Well, it is in units if it's not specified. And you have to say that it's squared. So don't forget to do that. Let's do number 2. Area of triangle DEF is equal to a half of its base times its perpendicular height. So that's equal to a half of 4, which is the base, times the perpendicular height, which is 6. That's the height. So 6 times 4 is 24, times a half is 12. They haven't specified whether it's centimeters or millimeters, so we'll just call it units. It's 12 units squared. Okay, let's move on to the next formula. This formula, I think they teach it to you in grade 10. And it is the area rule for a triangle using sine. So you can only use this formula if you have 2 known sides of the triangle, and I think it's called the inclusive angle, but basically it's the angle in between those 2 known sides. So if I had given you, let's say I hadn't given this angle, and you had this angle, you wouldn't be able to use this formula because it has to be the angle in between the 2 known sides. Okay, let us get straight into that. So the area of triangle ABC is equal to a half. Here we're going to call it AC, not small a, because there is a value over here. This is just a general formula, but this is called AC. AC times BC sine of 30 degrees. Well, actually, no, in the first part, we're going to write sine of C because that's part of the formula. Then in the next line, we'll specify that it's 30 degrees. So AC is 2, BC is 10, sine of 30 degrees. 2 times 10, that does say 30, okay. 2 times 10 is 20, times a half is 10. So we have 10 sine 30. Sine 30 is a special angle. You can use your calculator, but it's also something that you can just memorize. In a triangle, a 90-degree triangle with 30 degrees on as one angle and 60 degrees as the other angle, sine of 30 will always be a half, and sine of 60 will be square root 3 over 2. So you will simply substitute a half in the place of sine 30. So 10 times a half, and that is equal to 5 units squared. Okay, lastly, we're going to do Heron's formula. I haven't seen this in the CAP syllabus, and I'm not sure if you are allowed to use it in your exams. I think that this is actually just a good way to check your answer quickly, and it could also be helpful for multiple choice exams like the NBTs. Okay, so Heron's formula works where you have a triangle and you don't have a perpendicular height and you don't have any of the angles. But there are a few problems with this formula. I'll explain why after I show you the formula. So in this example, we have a triangle ABC and they've given us all three sides. So we know that all three sides added together will give us the perimeter. So let's work out the perimeter. The perimeter will be 2 plus 4 plus 5, which is 6 plus 5, which is 11. Okay. Now this over here is S, and it's called the semi-perimeter. Semi means a half. So the semi-perimeter is simply going to be P over 2, which is 11 over 2. Okay. I have to erase this because I don't have space, but I will write it somewhere over here. S is equal to 11 over 2. Sorry, please ignore the 7. That was when I was experimenting earlier. Okay. So the area of triangle ABC is equal to, we have to write the formula. The semi-perimeter minus, now I can't say A because I do actually have sides, so this would be AB. Semi-perimeter minus AC, semi-perimeter minus BC. Ooh, Lord. Semi-perimeter minus BC. Please remember that that's all under the square root. Okay. The semi-perimeter is 11 over 2. 11 over 2 minus AB is 2. 11 over 2 minus 4. And then, okay, wait. Just so you know, this is all under a square root. Multiplied by 11 over 2 minus BC, which is 5. Okay, let me just key that into my calculator. 11 over 2 multiplied by 11 over 2 minus 2. 11 over 2 minus 4. 11 over 2 minus 5. Okay, that gives me square root of 231 over 4. In decimal form, it is 3,799. So rounded off, it's 3,80 units squared. Okay. Let's erase all of this. I'm so sorry about that screeching noise. Okay, now I need to explain what problems you will encounter with Heron's formula. So if one of the sides had been bigger than the semi-perimeter, let's make this 8, right? So the semi-perimeter will be 8 plus 4 plus 2, which is 14, divided by 2 is 7. So semi-perimeter is 7, right? Now, when you put this in your formula, for S minus BC, which is this, you'd have 7 minus 8, which is going to give you a -1. And remember, this is under a square root. So that will give you an error on your calculator. And that is the problem with Heron's formula. It doesn't work for every single triangle. As long as your semi-perimeter is bigger than all of your sides, you're fine. If you had another number that was bigger, like let's say this was 10, then it will work out because 11 over 2 minus 10 will give you a negative. And no, why am I saying 11 minus 10? I'm talking about 7. This is for the other scenario. 7 minus 10 will give you -3, and 7 minus 8 will give you -1. So when these are multiplied, it will cancel out. But if you only have one value that is bigger than the semi-perimeter, you won't be able to use this formula. So just remember that. This should be your last resort. But it's just fun to know. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I hope to see you next time.